Hello amazing people, it is Riley LH here with another video, and today we are going to be making camber arms for the Miata, and very clearly we are in the future. And now we have already made these camber arms, but we're going to be going back into time showing how we took our stock control arms and turned them into custom camber arms. So we're going to go ahead and start off by breaking the lug nuts loose. And as well, whilst we're here, we're going to go ahead and do a nut and bolt check to make sure everything's good before no coast. Because the drift event before this, I rebuilt all my suspension, and then I tracked it, so there's a lot of nuts and bolts that I touched that could be loose. Okay, now we're going to do the same for the other side and go ahead and jack up the car. Okay, time for our wheels to come off. Okay, so now we can go ahead and get these upper A-arms out, and then we'll go ahead and cut them. We're also going to be cutting these off because I kind of had a little collision when I was at Spirit JP last. I ran into the tire wall, so I kind of bent these, but I wanted to cut these off anyways. But back to our main topic. So to get it off, it's just a bunch of 14 mils. We have a 14mm nut and bolt over there, another over there, and one up front. I'm not going to lie, last time I did this, all I had was adjustable wrenches. So big thanks to carparts.com for sending me out these OEM ratcheting wrenches. They are an absolute blessing. So let's go ahead and knock these off though. I can already tell with how tight I can already tell by how tight these upper A-arm bolts are, unless I forgot to tighten something. These things didn't back out. I put orange Loctite on everything, so we're most likely golden. But we're still gonna check anyways. Literally, as I was about to pull out my upper A-arm, my camera died, so I pulled both of them out. But let's go ahead and cut these. Okay, so we got the A-arm in the vise, and our nut is about 1/2 inch. And I want to be able to put these back at stock, and I want to be able to put these at stock camber if I ever want to. So I'm going to have to cut 1/2 inch out of this. But first, we're going to have to make our first cut before we do the second. So I'm going to cut a little bit farther back over here so I can fit the nut a little bit better over here to make it as strong as possible. So right where the circle is, that's where we're going to do our first cut at. So we're going to take our oddly well-matching gold marker and go ahead and make a line. So now that we have our line, we're simply just going to cut that with an angle grinder, and then we'll cut the second portion about there-ish. Okay, so now our A-arm is in 2 pieces. So we're going to file this down, at least this side, and then we're going to chop off another 1/2 inch on this side. Okay, so now we can chop 1/2 inch off this. Okay, so now we got to make this nut fit. So we're going to whip out the measuring tape as always. We're going to measure end from end, which for this nut is about 1 inch exactly. So we're going to mark 1 inch on here, dead in the center, and then we're going to mark 1/2 inch back. Okay, so now we're just going to cut this top. Okay, so now we're just simply going to cut this top piece out. So we ran into a slight dilemma. There's no way for us to really cut in here with the angle grinder. That kind of doesn't fit. So I just cut some notches in it, and we're going to hammer it down. So now that we have them bent back, we're going to weld them back together before we weld our nut in to make sure it's as strong as possible, but as well, our nut actually fits in there now. I'm realizing that's not going to work because the all thread has to go through there. So I'm going to cut that out, and then I'll weld in the support going from here to here to make it a little bit stronger. So yeah, time to bend these out. I thought I had such a great idea and I was being so smart by making this stronger. But yeah, no, I'm now realizing I can't do that. So lots of wiggling later with a pair of vice grips, we got those cut off, so now our nut will fit in there. Which means we can just weld that to that. So I went ahead and welded out the bottom part of the camber arm. So my camera died, so I didn't capture me welding out the bottom part of the camber arm. But I went ahead and did that, so now the bar is in, and we can go ahead and cut this. So I marked it at right at 3 inches, because that's going to be perfect amount of room to get as much adjustment so we can get as much adjustment out of it as we possibly can. So now we're just going to take our angle grinder and cut straight between those threads. Okay, so now we got that cut, we're going to go ahead and file down the top for a little bit. And pro tip when cutting anything with threads, make sure you put a nut at the bottom so you can go ahead and restore the top of the threads. And now the nut comes off and we didn't even have to put a wrench on it. So now that should be able to thread on and off very easily. And it does very beautifully, so we're going to thread the nut all the way down. And now we take our top part and we thread that on. And look at that, now we have our own camber arms. So we have our bolt through the middle, we have a nut on this side, and we have our bolt welded on through this side. And then we have this nut in the middle, so we get wherever we want. Let's say this evens us out perfectly. We go and tighten our nut to that point. And now with this top part being in the knuckle, and this being tight, that isn't going to go anywhere. So now we're going to go ahead and knock all the slag off, grind it all down flat, make it look pretty, and then we can chuck some fresh paint on it. But we officially have our own camber arms. And just like that, we're back in the future with perfectly working camber arms that we made for next to nothing really easily. I think it only took me a night to make them. It's really, really easy. And they work absolutely phenomenally. As you can see, we have actually a little bit of positive camber, and our tire wear has been absolutely phenomenal, especially with the turbo. It's made a huge difference, and it just makes the car feel better and run through tires a lot easier. So we're not going through a bunch of tires in an event because we're only using half of them. You save so much money on tires, and you don't have to raise up the rear of your car a bunch to be able to actually get positive camber or zero camber. You can pretty much have it as low as you want and still get zero camber. So if you guys enjoyed this video or learned something from it, like, subscribe, comment, all that, it would mean the world to me, and I hope you guys have a great day. See you guys all next time. Peace out.